Hello, everybody! Welcome to Critical Hit!
It's the only show on the internet that's hosted by Judith and Dan.
We think.
Probably.
Probably. It's the best one.
God, I really hope that's the case.
Today's March 18th. We'll be discussing the anime Death Parade and...
And we'll also be talking about the different types of multiplayer games and how they relate to each other and, what it says about you as a person.
Yeah, we've decided that for now, while we're still figuring out our podcast, that we will do it in two segments. One by Dan, who's more of a games expert. He'll talk about something games related. And one by me, who's an animation expert, or so I like to think. And it'll be focused on something probably anime related, and sometimes I will divert out of that.
I believe that you're an animation expert.
It's what I went to school for, at least.
And it shows in your work.
Yeah, going to school doesn't make you an expert on anything, though, does it?
No, it definitely does not.
So, I'm all caught up on the Attack on Titan manga.
I am definitely not.
It got weird, that's all I'm gonna say.
It got... Oh,
It got really
okay.
weird.
Should I bother reading it?
I would recommend still reading it. I mean, it keeps you hooked, because it keeps on dragging along all the big secrets you want to find out. But it revealed a few of them, and it got weird.
Okay.
There's a lot of body horror. I don't know. Can you handle that?
It depends. Like, there are some things that I just cannot deal with. Usually having to do with the eyes
Oh, I don't
or
think there's any eye stuff.
exposed bones.
Do it-
That usually gets me too.
Does exposed bones like exploding out of a person because they're transforming into a monster? Does that?
You mean like when Aaron transforms?
Yeah, like that.
No, not like that. I mean like in the Watchmen movie, there's this one scene where a dude's arm basically breaks and you can see the bone start to pop out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was not okay.
Yeah, nothing
That was-
like that. I mean, people get bitten in half a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can see their spinal cords when that happens, but
Oh boy, it's what I always wanted.
anyway, yeah. I'm kind of enjoying it, but I don't know how they're gonna keep it running for another, what was it, 2 or 3 years, I think the mangaka said.
I couldn't tell you. Obviously, they have a plan.
Obviously. And how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing all right. I just heard about the new Nintendo console.
Oh, yeah. So did I. It had 2 letters and that was it.
Yeah, that Nintendo basically said, "Hey, we've got a new thing, and it's called Project NX." And that's all anyone knows about anything.
Nothing like no handheld, no just regular console.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a console to replace the Wii U.
Okay. I feel like the Wii U is still kind of new.
It is still kind of new. It came out in 2012 and just recently had its whole Smash Brothers debut, and
Yeah, and now they're already moving on to replace it.
they're still advertising the Legend of Zelda for it. Hyrule Warriors is still getting DLC.
I am willing to bet that still not enough people have bought one though, huh?
Well, I expect that when Smash Brothers came out, there was a huge surge in Wii U purchases, but I don't have the numbers in front of me, so I couldn't tell you exactly how much of a difference it made.
Yeah, I wonder if it was enough. I feel like Nintendo's been making a lot of mistakes lately.
Yeah, usually in how they advertise and time their things.
Especially to foreign markets. Which are important, Nintendo.
Hint, hint.
Amiibos.
No, the amiibos aren't a problem because there's that one dude who bought all of them and kept them to himself. So Nintendo's just gonna be like, "Oh, they bought all the amiibos. This is great. We have all the money."
Yeah, they bought all 10 of them. I'm so glad that our plan to market to America worked. Ugh. I also heard Nintendo's setting up some smartphone games.
Yes, that is also true. They just released Pokemon Shuffle, I think,
Yeah.
for the DS.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a free download, and it works exactly like Bejeweled and whatever Candy Crush Facebook games.
Which is exactly why I haven't played it.
I have.
How is it?
It's about as good as you'd expect.
Okay, so I shouldn't play it.
It's really not worth it.
The only thing that could get me to play it is if they give you like real items for the actual games as a reward.
Yeah, that's
And
not gonna happen.
yeah, even then, as soon as they ask me for like 50 cents, I'm gone.
Yeah, I mean, it's a free to play game and it's not pay to win, so that's good.
God, what a sick concept pay to win still is.
Yeah. But yeah, Nintendo is in the process of developing smartphone games. So we'll see how that comes about.
Yeah, I heard a few people were kind of freaking out about it, but it's not that big of a surprise now.
No, it's really not. I
And
mean, it would be interesting to see how they would market this kind of thing. Like maybe like I could see them doing a Mario Party type game where everyone connects their smartphones and then it plays the game out and everyone has their own screen for mini games.
it feels like something you could do on the DS though.
It is something you can do on the DS, but no one heard about the Mario Party DS game until it was too late.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't.
Oh, Mario Party 10's coming out soon.
Is it?
Yeah.
If I had a Wii U, I would be pumped.
I do have a Wii U and I am pumped.
Well, good. One of us still loves Nintendo.
It's supposed to have a feature where you can have up to 5 players instead of just 4, and the 5th player gets to use the gamepad and play as Bowser.
Oh, cool. As long as
So
they don't pull those shenanigans that they did in Super Smash Bros., where you can have up to 8 players, that is bullshit.
oh man, it is such a clusterfuck.
I don't even know. I can't. I mean, I'm not the best player, but I can't even see what's going on in those ones. I'm just hitting the buttons and praying that I'll be able to find my avatar somewhere in there.
It's really hard to pay attention to that kind of thing because everyone has the potential to have the same outfit and the same color, and unless you drastically change whatever's going on so that you can tell who you are, it's just so hard to pay attention. There's so much stuff going on.
Yeah, I don't think that would work for Mario Party at all.
No, it's good to have 4 players and then Bowser to screw with everybody.
Yeah, especially not during the turn taking part.
Yeah.
Oh my god, the game would last hours.
8 turns, 8, like even just the smallest amount, 20 turns, 8 players, goes on forever.
Yeah. So no. Well, I'm still glad 10 is coming out. Maybe we'll play it at your place someday.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I'm really out of practice with Mario Party. Not that you can practice that much with Mario Party, but
Oh, but you can.
you can practice losing friends.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty bad sometimes.
No, I've had "Don't you fucking take that star" conversations with pretty much every loved one.
Yeah, me too. it that is I It's kind of interesting to see, like, when you play any kind of game, there's always people who will defend it, people who will bash it, and with Mario Party, it is just universally accepted as the friend killer.
Because it is.
It really
Because
is.
there's one person who's like, how could you do this to me? You know how hard I worked to get that star. And another person who's like, this is how you win. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's like
Sacrifices.
it's like a cutesy version of Monopoly that
No,
isn't
except it's
quite as
fun.
boring. Yeah.
Ugh, Monopoly. Anyway, it sounds like we're kind of segueing into your first topic, so why don't we just go for it?
Sure. So, multiplayer games. Judith, when you hear about multiplayer games, what's the first thing that comes to your head?
First thing that comes to my head, well, right now, Mario Party.
Yeah,
I wonder why.
games that pit you against somebody else.
Yeah. Or
And
we
that's
just talked about Super Smash Bros., which can have 8 players in a single fighting game stage.
Yep. But again, that's you pitting against somebody else.
What, are you getting at cooperative games here?
I love cooperative games.
Such
those
as?
those are some of my favorite ones.
Like which?
Like there's this game for the N64, Mystical Ninja starring Goemon,
Okay.
which actually has a huge number of games in Japan, but we only got 2 of them, I think. But
As
the sequel,
is typical.
yeah, but the sequel to that game, also for the N64, is Goemon's Great Adventure, and that is a 2-player co-op game, 2-player platformer side-scrolling co-op game actually.
Oh, fun.
which is pretty interesting to try and figure out how to keep moving forward. Um, Gauntlet.
Oh yeah, Gauntlet.
Those are both games
Those are
where
fun.
you're working with the other people to achieve a goal. And by that same token, there are games like Rampage, where you're working with somebody else to achieve a goal.
But you could
But
also eat them if you want.
yeah, but you also want to achieve the goal better than they do. So it's
Yeah.
sort of semi cooperative.
As cooperative as a giant lizard can be with a giant gorilla.
Right, exactly.
I
They-
used to love Rampage.
and then there are games like Pokemon, which is technically a multiplayer game. You're playing against somebody else one on one in a battle.
Mm-hmm, that's right.
And then there are games like Call of Duty and Halo, where you're on a team of people in the first person. You don't know where anybody else is, but you know that they're there on your team, and you're trying to achieve the goal of killing the other dudes.
And you're doing team versus team?
Team versus team.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
Same thing with Team Fortress 2 and Left 4 Dead.
Yeah, now
Co-op.
you're going into uncharted territory for me. I have very limited video game everything right now.
Right, right. But what I'm trying to get at is that there are so many different kinds of multiplayer games that people don't really even think about. Any game that has more than one person playing at a time is a multiplayer game. Whether or not it's cooperative or semi-cooperative or non-cooperative, like Mario Party.
Mario Party has its cooperative elements, though. I think the cooperative minigames are some of the most fun.
They are pretty fun. The 1 versus 3 and 2 versus 2.
Yeah, but even those, they'll put like a group of 3 against one person, or they'll have you all working towards the same goal, all 4 of you, where if one person fucks up, everyone gets mad at them.
Yep.
So yeah, Mario Party is still all about hating each other. What is the most important kind of multiplayer game to you, though?
Personally, I like couch co-op games.
Are those the kinds like Halo and all that jazz?
Not quite. This is more like Goemon's Great Adventure, Rampage, Gauntlet, Kirby's Epic Yarn, actually.
Really?
Yeah, it's a 2-player game.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can play as Kirby or Prince Fluff, and they're both exactly the same, but
Oh.
there are 2 of them.
I've only played that once.
It's adorable. I love it.
It was.
But yeah, my personal favorite kinds of games are couch co-op games. And
Yes.
I mean, any game where you can play with your friends in the same room.
And where you're on a team.
Yeah.
It's
I
cool.
like
Yeah.
working together with friends to achieve a goal.
Even Pokemon, the only game that I'm completely obsessed with, has a multiplayer option where you can team up with another person and either fight the computer or 2 other people.
Yeah,
And that is really fun.
it is.
It's a challenge too, because you just have to throw your 2 teams together and see what works.
I mean, you could plan beforehand, but
Most people don't.
that's a lot of effort.
Yeah.
Guitar Hero, there's another multiplayer game that
Oh, yeah.
most people wouldn't even consider.
You're in a band.
That is technically a co-op video game where everyone's
Yeah.
trying to play the music
And sucking together.
and sucking together.
And you're all animated as these awkward, uncanny valley rock stars.
Well, I mean, the later ones had a custom character creator thing.
That's true. They still moved a little funny.
Yeah.
Just a little. So do you think that cooperative multiplayer games are more of a challenge than versus, basically?
It's a different kind of challenge. Because if you're playing a cooperative game where there's really no friendly fire and you're trying to achieve the same goal, like Gauntlet, then
Mhm.
it can be pretty easy because you're not going to hurt anybody, and the whole thing is about trying to keep everybody on the screen at the same time.
Yeah, Gauntlet with all 4 players active is hella easy.
It really is. But then there are games like Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles for the GameCube, which is one of my favorite multiplayer games,
Okay.
period. I completely forgot about it because I was looking around my room and I didn't even see it until just now. But that game has cooperative mechanics. Everybody has a certain number of spells and things that they can do, and if you time it right, it makes them more powerful.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if you have a fire spell and I have a fire spell and we manage to cast it at the same time, it becomes Fira, which is the next level up.
Sweet.
Yeah, and that game absolutely encourages people choosing different characters and filling out the party so that you have all the options available.
And being in the same room.
And being in the same room. Yeah, that's not a game that you can play on the internet.
Not that the internet stops people from coordinating now, because they can just talk over mics.
Right. But there are other co-op games that are semi-cooperative, like Rampage and Little Big Planet even, where you're trying to achieve a goal, but you want to dick over everybody else. And that presents its own challenge.
Doing the same thing as everybody else without killing them, but doing it better?
Or doing better than everybody else and shoving everyone else into a fiery pit of death so that they don't succeed, period. Or,
so working with them up until a point?
Yeah.
Up until you get to the fiery pit of death?
Yep.
I don't know, that sounds...
In that game, you can actually pick up and throw your friends.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See, that's another one I've never played.
I recommend it. It's a good time.
Is that an old one?
Little Big Planet?
Yeah.
Not really. It's PS2, PS3.
Oh, okay. PS2, that's pretty old.
Yeah. And PS3 is actually on its way out.
Yep. Now that I finally got one.
Same. Here's Judith and Dan bringing up the rear.
Yep. Here with game news. So today I got my PS3. No.
So, I mean, I like co-op games like that. Those are my favorite. It encourages people working together, and it encourages people being in the same room, hanging out with their friends.
Yeah. Human interaction. These are pre-internet games you're talking about, mostly?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, so they didn't have a choice.
Yeah. I mean, Nintendo's big thing was bringing everybody together.
Yeah.
So, I got a lot of Nintendo games.
For some people, it was, if you want to play this, you must have friends, you loser.
Yeah, pretty much.
I totally didn't buy Pokemon Gold and Silver and Crystal just for myself.
No, of course not.
I didn't.
Who would do something like that?
Well, a friendless loser would do something like that.
Not us.
Oh. I have a really sad video game history. I was banned from playing them as a child until I was in the double digits age somewhere.
Oh, really?
And, yeah. And the only time I ever got to play them was during arcade birthday parties, which were the best thing in the world.
Those were so cool!
Yeah, they took the quarter limit off, and you could just play forever, and that was where I found Rampage, and that was my favorite, because I had a lot of inner violence stored up, so it was great.
I'd say not having video games makes me pretty violent.
Exactly.
Oh,
it's the
man.
exact opposite of what our parents thought.
Those arcade parties were the best.
They were. And my favorite way of playing in that situation was when a whole bunch of other people would join in. So I think I can see what you're saying about it.
It's a whole different experience from playing a game like Call of Duty, where everyone's a 13-year-old on a headset yelling about how they banged your mom.
I've never been in that environment. I've only seen it being made fun of.
I have played those kinds of games, and I have decidedly kept my microphone off and just kind of listened to all these little kids. Like, you can tell that they're little kids. They haven't even hit puberty yet. And they're trying to be cool, but they just sound like dumbasses.
A lot of them are like imitating YouTubers now too.
Yeah.
Which is the worst. Because YouTubers can already be pretty annoying.
Mm-hmm. Just imagine their voice about 3 octaves higher.
With even less cleverness in every line.
And occasionally cracking.
Ugh. Yeah, I can see why you would turn the mic off.
Yeah, and it's just, I mean, those kinds of games are everyone is behind a screen and you don't even know who your teammates are. And that's never been really appealing to me.
Yeah, and you still have that whole mask of anonymity thing going, even though people can hear that you're actually a 13-year-old pencil dick. They still can't see you, so you'll still say shitty, stupid things.
Yeah. Meanwhile, if I'm over here playing Four Swords Adventures with you and Natalie
Mm-hmm.
and let's say Carl, I want
Right.
to see the look in your eyes as I slash you with my sword and you fall down that pit. You will fall at the hands of Tiny Link.
And again, with Mario Party, you can actually see the bridge of your friendship burning and falling into the valley
right
of
before
death.
they right before they jump to their feet and throttle you. Dick, give me back my star.
See, there's nowhere to hide in those situations.
And
I mean,
it's kind of fun.
it's very fun.
Like when you shoot somebody in Halo and you teabag them a little bit, you're like, yeah, whatever. But if I take your star in Smash Brothers, you know I'm laughing at you.
You mean if you take my Smash Ball in Smash Brothers?
Did I say star in Smash
Yeah.
Brothers?
I mean, those do exist.
Yeah. If I take your Smash Ball and you just like, son of a bitch.
Or if I get the Smash Ball and you just dodge me the entire time, I want to throw the controller and kick your teeth in.
Yeah, Mega Lucario is an unfortunate addition.
It is. Oh
It
well.
could have been so cool.
At least it looks cool.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get to hit stuff. Sometimes. Even the computer does what you do.
Well, it's the smart thing to do.
True.
Oh, hey, Judith turned into an almighty physically beating powerhouse. Maybe I shouldn't stand here.
Yeah, you know what? Screw taking your Smash Ball. When I take your Dawnbreaker.
Oh my god. And yeah, there's another thing. In games, in couch co-op and couch multiplayer games, local multiplayer, you could do things like that and get the immediate reaction from the person you screwed over.
Yup.
Judith and I were playing the new Smash Brothers, and there's a weapon called the Dawnbreaker. I think that's what it's called.
That giant ass gun that you need 3 parts to collect.
Yeah, it's like the Dragoon, but it's a laser. So you get the 3 parts, it forms the thing, and then you can fire it at will.
Yep, you got it.
I got all 3 parts, and I had the laser, and I was getting ready to fire. Judith punches me in the face, knocks it out of my hands, grabs it, and then fires it at me.
And all of that happened in a split second.
I didn't know that was possible.
And so Dan learned an important lesson that day.
Stay the hell away from Judith.
Exactly. See?
Oh, I need to find a way to upload that to YouTube because that was beautiful.
Yeah, I'm glad we saved it.
Yeah. Oh man, a lot of my best stories about video games come from multiplayer games that I'm playing in the same room as someone else. Usually you.
That's because I'm a ton of fun.
Butt suicides.
King of Fuck Mountain. Yeah, there's a lot of inside jokes with us playing silly Nintendo games. We even tried to make Assassin's Creed into a multiplayer by narrating the entire thing out loud as I played for the first time.
That was pretty beautiful.
Yeah. It's just more fun that way.
It is. Being able to play with a friend of yours, in my opinion, is the best way to play video games. Playing with someone in the same room as you.
And when something weird or crazy happens, then you have a witness.
Yeah.
Back when weird shit happened in games, when I was alone, nobody would believe me.
Like the real Andross in Star Fox 64.
Yeah, that was before we had the internet to look stuff up, or we were too little, or we couldn't get on the computer. Me and my brother played Star Fox 64 over and over again, and never got the real ending where you fight Andross as the brain. But I did one night at 1 o'clock in the morning at my dad's house. Nobody else was awake. I beat the brain. I got out, your dad leads you out of the place. I beat the game. It was the real ending. No one saw it. And then the next morning I told my brother and he didn't believe me. He thought the brain was just a rumor. And I tried to recreate it and it took so long. for me to get back there. And eventually it happened, but it was the most frustrating thing in the world. We had talked about that brain before, like, oh, I hear you, he'll turn into a brain if you do a secret code or something. No, there was no code.
N64, that was the time when a lot of people spread those kinds of rumors.
Yeah.
Oh, you can fight as the Master Hand if you do this with this character.
Yeah, you can find Mew underneath the truck in the parking lot next to the SS Anne in Pokemon. Yeah.
I have red and blue here in my room. I should know.
Those save cards are probably dead on those things.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah?
Last time I checked, they still worked.
That's like 20 years old.
I know. Nintendo never dies.
Yeah, they've only gotten better with that. My DS has been through a lot of abuse.
No kidding.
Including a toilet. Yeah, that's another story, though.
Yeah, the most that my DS has gotten is a couple scratches. And this is the clamshell DS.
You're just better to it.
Yeah.
What can I say?
I'm just the best.
Uh-huh. Okay, again with the multiplayer thing, and again from a Pokemon perspective, I'm sorry everybody, that's my game. That's my element.
It's what she knows.
Yeah. I play on Showdown for practice, which is just a simulator, but you have a chat box where you can talk to the other person, and they're usually assholes.
Yeah.
They're usually total assholes, extremely arrogant. Sometimes they'll type nonsense at you. Sometimes they'll ask you, "Are you a girl?" They ask me that all the time anyway.
Do you put your name in as Judith?
No, just J-U-U.
Jude.
Yes. And sometimes, like, when a battle will end, I'll be like, "Oh, what nature was your dragon or whatever?" Because I'm just curious what set they're running. And they'll be like, "Oh, what question did you just ask me?" And then they'll log off.
Really?
Or I'll lose pretty bad sometimes to hacks. Sometimes I misplay, for whatever reason. Sometimes I'll be like, "Oh, good game." And they'll be like, "Yeah, I guess it was. I don't think I would call it good." And then they'll log off.
What?
Yeah, people, because they have that mask of anonymity, they'll say whatever the fuck they want and be total dicks. And they'll also be really weird and creepy sometimes. But when I do something like PAX Pokemon League, where it's just spending all day in a handheld section at PAX, fighting people face to face, they are so much nicer. They're much better sports.
Yeah,
and it's
I'm
a
sure.
way better experience because they're either forced to be good or they're more functional as human beings because they're actually going outside and doing shit.
Yeah, that's definitely possible.
Yeah, I guess we sound like old people advocating, like, you have to go outside and meet people, but you can do that while playing video games.
Yeah. I mean,
right?
there's all kinds of tournaments for this kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
Like you just said, the PAX Pokemon League.
Yeah. Well, anything in PAX, all of PAX.
Every convention that I've been to has a gaming section.
And every convention has a Smash Brothers tournament now.
Yep.
And those are insane.
Oh man, I really wanted to be a part of the MagFest Smash Brothers thing, but I couldn't find the time.
You'll get a chance.
And it's probably for the best because I would have gotten my ass beat.
At least it's fun, though. It's so much easier to lose when you're with a bunch of people than when you're by yourself.
Yeah, it is, because then you got, like, the crowd cheering for everybody, and if you make a mistake, people will call it out, or if you manage, like, you just barely miss the edge of that, and you get that collective, ah!
Yeah. And even when you're doing cooperative games, and you all fuck up, it's better than losing by yourself. Losing can be fun that way, when you all lose together.
If you like that kind of game, Judith, I would absolutely recommend Little Big Planet.
All right.
Because you get a bunch of people together and get them all drunk.
That'd be easy for me, but I don't know about everybody else.
Like, just get 4 drunk people playing Little Big Planet. I saw a couple of years ago at my friend's house, I saw him and his 2 brothers and their friend all high as balls playing Little Big Planet, and they could not control. They could not, like, it was their brain function had just been completely shut down. They couldn't solve any of the simple puzzles, and I'm sitting here like, oh my god.
Yeah, I've watched my friends play, I think it was Baby Mario, the one where you can where you are like baby versions of the characters and you can trap yourself in a bubble and float and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I've watched 4 of my friends play that with 3 of them drunk and one of them who never drinks, completely sober. And that was the most hilarious thing. Not for him, but for anybody watching.
Yeah, that's a pretty great time.
It is. And yeah, multiplayer games.
That's pretty much the last word on the subject, I guess. Multiplayer games are great. Play more multiplayer games. Get more multiplayer games. Invite your friends over.
I'll check out Little Big Planet, and yeah, you know how I am when I play video games drunk, so
yeah, oh my god.
That should be fun.
Watching you play Little Big Planet while you're drunk would be the funniest thing.
We shall make it happen.
It's so good because the controls for that game are a little, what's the word? Like, there's a little bit of inertia every time you move, so you can't quite stop on a dime.
Oh, that'll be great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, that's on the schedule then.
I'm going to enjoy that.
Okay, so now we're going to switch over to the animation section of our show, where we'll be talking about the anime Death Parade.
All right, so this is a pretty cool show. Judith recommended it to me like 2 weeks ago, and I just started watching it.
Yeah, it just came out this season. It's not even finished airing yet, so we're going to be doing a spoiler-free talk. And I think sometime after it's done, we'll revisit it and talk about it with spoilers and all. Death Parade is a pretty awesome show, though. It's done by Studio Madhouse, who, even if they put out shit, it always looks good.
It does. Oh man, I wanted to point that out too. Like, I started watching it with my mom, and she was impressed by the animation
and the art.
I said, yeah, they do a lot of good things that I should show you sometime. Like,
yeah, don't show her No Game No Life.
No, she would not appreciate that kind of thing.
I don't appreciate that kind of thing all that much.
I like the animation for it, and it's
Madhouse.
It's really stylistically cool, but I can totally see why you would be turned off by some of the content.
Yeah, we were just a few minutes in, and I got a panty shot of an 11-year-old.
Yeah.
And that's when I apologized to everyone in the room, being like, I wanted to give this a shot. Never mind. Yeah. But we're talking about Death Parade. Which started out as a short called Death Billiards, which was released by Anime Mirai, a festival, basically, film festival. That's the culmination of a bunch of young animators being trained on the job by making short films.
That's cool.
Yeah, I think it was a PR move to try and prevent a lot of animation jobs from being outsourced outside of Japan. Yeah, which is a huge problem in any major animation industry across the world, so
yeah, like
I approve.
We send our stuff out to China all the time.
And Korea mostly, and Japan
Korea,
sends their stuff to Korea too, because they pay animators shit over in Korea.
Yeah.
But Anime Mirai exists to try and discourage that a little bit, and it produced basically the pilot that would later become Death Parade, which is an afterlife kind of show.
Right. You die, and then you get sent to this bitchin'-looking bar.
Yeah.
This dude with white hair says, yeah, let's play games.
Let's play games with your life at stake.
Right.
So basically, when people die, there's the whole heaven and hell decision that's the afterlife office has to decide. Where is this person going? And in this world, they choose by sending you to a bar with a significant part of your memories erased. Somebody will be there, a bartender, but there'll also be a judge who will have you and another person play a billiards kind of game that usually has some kind of sick little twist that will test your personality, your memories, and your lifetime, and then that person will judge whether or not you belong in heaven or hell, or as the show quickly reveals, reincarnation or the void. They just lie about heaven and hell.
Yeah, they specifically say heaven and hell when the people are introduced, but then once they're gone, the bartender's like, yeah, okay, so one of them is going to be reincarnated, the other one gets sent to the infinite nothingness.
Exactly. And they say that because heaven and hell is easy to understand for humans, and they don't want to make things too complicated. So in our first episode, we get a couple who just winds up at the bar. They have no idea how they got there. They can't leave. And this very polite bartender named Dekim forces them to play a darts game.
And the evil twist on the darts game is that the boards that they're throwing darts into are connected to their bodies. So if you hit a specific point on the board, it'll send a stabbing pain through the other person at the place. So one of them gets the eye,
Yeah.
which just bothered the crap out of me. So one of them hits the eye target, and the husband suddenly keels over because his eye is just—it's like it's been stabbed.
Yeah, I mean, he can still see.
Right,
apparently.
the pain fades away,
But it's very intense at the moment.
and the way that the board itself reacts to the dart hitting it with that noise and
Yeah. It's pretty effective at conveying the unsettling and painful nature of what's going on. And, you know, since the couple is throwing darts at each other's internal organs, basically, then it kind of turns them on each other.
Well, that doesn't turn them on each other so much as the memories returning does.
Yeah, it's the combination of those things, of getting to hurt each other and the slow and deliberate return of their memories of their lives. And that, as they say in the show, draws out the darkness in their soul, so that Dekim, the arbiter, who is also the bartender, can judge them. Does he do a good job? Maybe.
It's debatable. I mean, he's completely impartial and goes by what he sees in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And the memories of the people get sent to him, so he's sort of, like, I guess as far as fairness goes, it doesn't get more fair than Dekim.
Yeah, but I don't know if that's actually true. If it doesn't get more fair, because I'm not going to spoil it, but he does make a mistake.
Yeah.
He makes a pretty big mistake, and, you know, it's too late to take it back by the time it happens, and so they just move on, because the show is kind of an anthology and kind of not.
Is that before or after episode 6? Because if it's the mistake I'm thinking of...
It's at the end of episode 2, so you know.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah, he makes a mistake, but he makes a mistake given the information that he has. So it's really not his fault. He's basically a robot that spits out information.
Mm-hmm. Well, one of the things about this show, since it examines several different human lives that pass through this bar to be judged, is that maybe the system by which they're being judged is flawed.
Yeah, there's really no reasonable way to judge a person's life in one brief moment.
Exactly. And drawing out the darkness of a human soul might actually be creating it.
Yeah, it's kind of a dick move.
It kind of is. And I'm not entirely sure what it's saying about the religious belief systems it seems to be representing. Not yet. But I do like what it's saying. It's taking a very different approach than other Afterlife shows are. There's a human character who has no name, a woman with black hair who's randomly assigned to be Dekim's assistant. And she remembers nothing from her life. But it's obvious that she's put there deliberately to try and influence him from a human perspective.
Yeah, he specifically says that her presence, her ideas are fresh and interesting, and it gives him a new perspective. And you can clearly see that from the very first episode, he's already starting to be affected by her being there.
Yeah. It's still nice and gradual, since you're up to episode 6 already, and you can see.
Yeah.
The judgments are still going as according to that system.
Yep.
But you can see other characters starting to question it as well. The way I found this show is I was just scrolling through what Funimation had available, and I was remembering the time when I watched Hellgirl, which is another Afterlife show, but it's really just this vindictive, nasty show about awful people doing awful things and their victims sending them to hell at the cost of their own soul. So at the end of every episode, nobody wins. You just get to watch evil people go to hell and feel good about that for a moment before you feel terrible because the victim has to go to hell when they die.
Awesome.
But I didn't pay close attention to it. I just had it on in the background a lot of the time. And I consume shows like that like junk food sometimes. Every now and then I just want a show like that. So I saw Death Parade pop up. I read the description. I was like, oh, this sounds just like one of those. Like, it's going to be all heavy-handed and have all these ugly things to say about humanity and think that it's all deep and meaningful when it really isn't. I'll totally watch this while I'm eating lunch or something.
And then you hit the opener.
Yeah, and then I hit the opener and I was like, whoa, dance party.
You played the opener for me one time on my laptop, and it was all right, but then I heard all the music when I put it on the TV, and it was so much better that time.
It is. It's so dissonant, though. It has so little to do with the tone of the show itself, but it kind of does. I don't know.
It's really cool.
It is. It's one of the best openers I've seen. It's definitely my favorite opener this season, and the year just started, so I can't really say it's the best of the year. But the music is a lot of fun. The animation is fun. The whole opener takes place inside the bar with the characters dancing and singing and just throwing this giant party.
Having a great time. There's a DDR machine.
Mm-hmm. And it does inform you of some things that happen or will happen in the series. It shows the entire cast of recurring characters. But tonally, it's incredibly different because it's a big, happy, lively party, and the rest of the show is about death and dying and assessment of the human soul.
Yeah, it's gives you kind of whiplash.
It does, but at the same time, it let me know that this show isn't just going to be an anthology series. It's going to be about this cast of characters that shows up in the opener as well. And it is, because their story continues to overarch with every dead person story that comes and goes throughout the bar.
I just want to say the scene where the boss is playing billiards with the planets, that was one of my favorite things.
I like that scene a lot.
That was so cool looking.
I like the guy, too.
The one who's supposed to be God or whatever?
The man who's closest to God.
Yeah.
I forgot his name.
There are
Oculus. Oculus.
That's his name? I don't think they announced it in the episode that I saw. The first episode he shows up in.
Yeah, I'm looking it up just to make sure. But his design is awesome. He's
really cool. I love the lotus motif that he's got.
Yeah, actually, there's lotuses all over this show. They're all hidden.
Oh, really?
Or subtly decorating.
I'll have to take a look for those, because I noticed on him that they were everywhere.
Yeah. And you know what the lotus symbolizes in Buddhist and some other East Asian religions or Southeast Asian.
It's a part of the reincarnation, right?
Right. It symbolizes reincarnation, or it symbolizes humans' transitions through the world.
Yeah, that's why I thought it was very interesting. Like, I see what you're doing here.
Yeah. The lotus, starts at the bottom of a pond or a lake. This murky, shitty, disgusting water in the mud. And it slowly rises out of that until eventually it blooms outside the surface of the water as this beautiful, perfect, symmetrical flower. So that's been seen as a very symbolic image for Buddhism. I don't know for Hinduism, but
I couldn't say.
Mostly associated with Buddhism. And it's all over the bar. It shows up on Oculus's hair. His beard and his hair are both, they're probably the most obvious lotuses. One of them is a bloom and the other one is a blossom. At the opener, where they're all in that big pose.
Yeah.
They're forming a 6-petaled lotus.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Ah.
So it's cool stuff like that. And you can see lotuses all over the opener, too, in the background. And it's... I'm
going to have to take a closer look.
Yeah. Some people are already pulling out Hindu and Buddhist symbolic theories about this show. I haven't really taken an analytical look at it yet, because it's pretty good just straight on.
Yeah, it really is.
And the lesson that I think it's trying to teach, you don't have to be analyzing it from a very critical perspective to start understanding what it's saying. It's really good.
I need to keep watching the rest of it and catch up with the show. You said that this started out as a film festival.
Yeah, basically as
a
single OVA, yeah.
Okay, so there's not like a manga to read or...
Nope.
Huh.
Anime first, which is my favorite, usually.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I don't care for adaptations anymore.
It means that they don't have to match up with anything.
Right, and they're not on anyone else's schedule but their own.
Yeah.
So nice. Glaring at Attack on Titan right now. And a multitude of other things.
I was about to say. Bleach, Inuyasha, Naruto, DBZ.
Oh yeah, that's ancient history though.
Yeah.
That's why I don't watch those kinds of shows anymore. Also, because I'm not young anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, this Death Parade is for mature fans like me. Yes.
No, I would absolutely recommend it to my sister, and she's 15.
Yeah, it looks like it's only going to 12 episodes, but you know,
that makes sense.
Since that's their own schedule, sure. Again, I'm not going to spoil anything, but there's a lot of interesting twists. Every new character who's introduced has a very different personality. Every new rule you learn about the world, which is basically our world and the afterlife that we would all go to. Every new rule you learn is kind of like, really? And it's like most Afterlife series I've seen, the Afterlife rules are kind of absolute. They were formed by some kind of god or deity, and we just play into them and we can't question them. But in this, the gods and deities might not understand people well enough to judge them.
See, now that's interesting. I don't watch nearly as many Afterlife shows as you do. You're gonna have to recommend a few for me.
Yeah.
But if I were in that situation, I mean, you say that like no one ever questions these things. I'm like, yeah, I would absolutely kick and scream the whole way.
But you would just be a human kicking and screaming at his undignified moment of death.
I don't care.
There would be nothing you could do about it. They would still send you somewhere.
There'd be nothing that I could do anyway. So I would at least try and get people to question what they're doing.
How can an unearthly being judge an earthly life?
Magic.
Magic?
Yeah.
What if magic isn't enough?
Apparently, because they've already made mistakes.
Yeah, exactly. And almost every religion I can think of has unearthly beings watching over earthly lives and judging them. How can you really judge a life you haven't lived?
Because the creator is a human?
The creator of
the show.
Oh no! Don't get all meta on me.
I mean,
it's asking.
I kind of have to. I kind of have to get meta on this situation because when you're talking about otherworldly beings, we're still technically viewing them through our own perspective.
Yeah, but you can say that about religion too.
Yeah, religion was created by people.
Exactly.
So when you have a show that involves some higher being, it's worthwhile to remember that the higher being in the show was created by a person.
Yes, well, every other perception of a higher being was also created by a person, or was written down by a person, or is communicated in some sense by a person.
Right, so that's how they're able to judge.
I don't know if I agree with you there.
I mean, that's the only way that I could possibly validate it, because it is technically a person judging other people.
Technically, but I think that's a little too meta for a validation.
Unless we have some sort of evidence of higher beings judging us, which we can't possibly have unless they reveal themselves in some way.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is through the lens of human life and mortality.
But I really think that they are criticizing the view of,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
perfect deities judging mortal lives.
Yeah.
And that's nice. It's nice.
It is really nice. It is a good show, and I really like that it's making me think.
Mm-hmm.
It's not making me think in the same way that Yuri Kuma is. I actually haven't picked up any more of the episodes yet.
Yeah, when you catch up on that, we'll cover that one.
I'm having a hard time.
I don't blame you, but I will help you.
But like that with Yuri Kuma, it's like I have to pay attention to everything for the context of the show. Otherwise, I'm going to get left behind really quick.
Yeah, and you have to look at the symbolism constantly for that one.
But with Death Parade, it's making me think more about things outside of the show.
Mm-hmm.
It's making me think more about how religion is viewed and how spirituality is viewed.
And it's actually kind of arguing for the goodness, the humanness of a human soul instead of this pretentious, cynical bullshit that so many other series like it just wallow in and try to act like they're being really deep and meaningful when they're not.
Yeah, it's not just humankind is awful.
No,
It's
and
there is the potential for good. In the bowling episode,
mm-hmm.
they're both good people,
Yeah.
and the way that they died was a complete accident, and it had nothing to do with them. So they're not really being judged on how they influenced another person in their death, like with the first episode, but it's really just their lives up to that point and how they feel about each other.
Oh, episode 9 gets really heavy. It really makes you question. Like, you think episode 1 has some characters that you as the viewer are having a hard time making a judgment call on. Episode 9 gives you a really hard time. Someone who might have done something really awful and might have lost his humanity in the process, but for what reason? What did he go through that turned him into that? Is it his fault?
Oh man, I'm close to that. I'm gonna have how many episodes are out right now?
10.
Oh, so we're almost at the end.
Yeah. And 9 is a really good one. It's pretty explosive. Very, really high emotional intensity. 10 is a little slower compared to it, but it'll feel like a relief if you're watching them 2 in a row.
Well, I probably will. That's
Anyway,
really cool, though.
I highly recommend this show.
Yeah, me too.
This is one of the best ones that's out this season. I still think Yurikuma's better.
I'm having a hard time keeping interest in Yurikuma.
This one is definitely more accessible to everybody and Dan.
Well, I mean, I didn't have the same problem keeping interest in Penguin Drum.
Yurikuma, I think it is probably his most symbolic series to date.
Yeah, no kidding.
It definitely his most symbolic series.
Maybe that's why I'm having a hard time with
Yeah,
it.
you should probably just keep watching it with us. We can help because we're Ikuhara groupies.
No kidding. Like, I didn't have that problem with Utena or Penguin Drum. I need to finish Penguin Drum.
Yeah, you should. It'll help a little bit. We're getting off topic though. We can talk about Ikuhara.
We finished the topic. We're just gonna ramble a little bit now.
Maybe sometime soon we'll talk about Yurikuma. I'm sure a lot of people are struggling with it, or most people have probably dismissed it by now, who don't love it, and I love it.
It looks cool.
It does look cool. I think this was a good season so far. At least the things that have been brought over here by Funimation and Crunchyroll and stuff.
Yeah.
So stay tuned and we'll bring you more talks. Say bye, Dan!
I always forget to do that. I keep thinking that you're gonna say something else, and then I forget.
This is a collaborative effort.
I know.
Say goodbye to the people.
Bye
Let
to
them
the
know you
people.
care.
Goodbye, everybody. We'll catch you next time.
Bye-bye.